Hey guys, Scott here. Today we're going over patch notes for 8.4.1, which is mostly a bug fix patch with a couple little tweaks here and there. Let's start off right with the Houndmaster. Her chase command cooldown, that's her offensive projectile dog, is now 4-second cooldown instead of 5 seconds, so you can send out dog a little bit quicker. Remember, you still have to wait for the dog to come back from search, so this is going to be after he returns to you, and sometimes when the dog returns to you, it's bugged. The dog will sort of hover next to you and nothing will happen. So you need to stand still and then the cooldown restarts. So hopefully that's been fixed as well. Completed generators now appear light orange when you're charging search rather than it being a permanent thing, which I like. I think that's a good quality of life change. Sometimes I would get confused by seeing more generators than actually existed, but now it'll only highlight when I'm using search, which is really the only time you want to see that anyway. So I think that's a really good change. Hound sense radius only to visibles to a survivor when the dog's within 20 meters. Previously, you could see it anywhere. Just make it a little bit harder for the big circle to avoid. Typically, you're not like Matrix dodging the circle anyway. If it's going to hit you, it's going to hit you. You typically don't have that much time to run away from it because of the speed that the dog actually goes, unless you take some weird cracked out pathing, in which case you have plenty of time. So it really depends on the weird pathing that the dog will take, but that's fine. Survivors afflicted with Hound sense appear to be with reduced color and opacity outlined to the Houndmaster. Red tint used to blend in too much with the killer instinct feedback. I consider this to be a nerf. One of the strangest best parts about Hound sense was the survivor glowed bright red, and this made it actually more than one occasion I found a survivor I normally would not have seen because there was a tiny red pixel there that there shouldn't have been in a bush or behind a wall or something like that I would not have seen. And it was because it was so bright red, it stood out from everything else, and it actually was kind of nice at finding people. There was a actual tangible benefit to that, but it seems like they're going back on that. I don't think they intend this to be a nerf. They're saying it used to blend in too much with Killer Instinct. I could not give less of a shit about that at all. This is a slight nerf. Based on my time with the Houndmaster, that actually gave you a pretty decent amount of value seeing the survivors in bright red. So it's a very tiny nerf. Next, add-ons, which, by the way, I don't know why she's getting any nerfs at all. Add-ons. Increase the survivor or reveal to 8 seconds or 5 seconds for training bell. It's all right. The conditions are still weird to do it. But spike collar, just a slightly longer mangled and hemorrhage effect, which is fine. Completely okay with that. Gunpowder tin, which is one of her stronger add-ons. This made it so whenever a survivor is afflicted with Hound sense, I think for the next 20 seconds, you would basically have Giga Brutal Strength. I thought it was 30%. They're saying it was 40%. I was for some reason under the impression it was 40. I'm not sure why, but 30 is, it's fine. It's still much faster than Brutal Strength. It's like 50% faster or something like that. So 33%, I don't know. So it's still pretty decently better. But I don't think this killer needs a single nerf in any regard whatsoever. There was not a single overpowered thing about her. She should be getting only buffs. Marlin Spike, now this does not inflict Hound sense on the person you grab as well. It's only everyone else around. So again, I don't know why we're nerfing this killer in any regard whatsoever. She is one of the worst killers in the game. Not the worst. She's, not like in the bottom 5 or anything, but she's pretty damn bad. I don't know why she's getting any nerfs whatsoever. These should all just be flat buffs, except maybe this one. This one was kind of good. So that's not good. Not good. Next, we finally have a nerf for Medusa's hair. This was the teleport in bat form and slow everyone down around you. Basically, you just have Clown's power in addition to everything else as an add-on for some reason. So this got pretty heavily nerfed, 8% and now 3 seconds instead of 5 seconds. So good. Fuck this add-on. It was one of the most busted add-ons in the game. Dracula is already one of the strongest killers in the game. You didn't need it. This shit was ridiculous. Good nerf. Demogorgon upside down suggested velocity to 32. I'm not really sure what this means because this is. Oh no, it went from 20 to 28 and now it's 32. I think, right? Okay, so just slightly faster traversing the upside down. That's great. Demogorgon buffs are completely fine. Chucky, some slight nerfs here. Heidi Ho cooldown now is 14 seconds. That's closer to what he originally had when he came out. Slice and Dice duration is now 1.8 seconds. It was 1.2. So now you go even further with it. But at the same time, the speed that you are traversing is now going to be a bit less. So kind of a side grade there. You can maintain control of it more, which lets you do a bit more interesting things with the power, but it has a longer cooldown and you move slightly slower while doing it. So I'm not 100% sure if this is a nerf or buff. I'm going to say this is probably a slight nerf. I haven't done the math to figure out if the distance traversal is going to be about the same here. I'm not 100% sure because you have to account for the fact the survivor can run for slightly longer too when there's less movement speed. but also it's lasting longer. So I don't. It'll let a survivor get behind a corner slightly sooner. Maybe I'm not sure. We'll have to see. Chucky in game to determine exactly what this is. But that's probably a slight nerf. Which I mean, fuck Chucky. I hate Chucky. I think he's the least liked killer in the entire game to go against. So I don't really care that much. He's still very very strong. I think this is mostly okay. Myers gets a well-needed buff. They had the right idea with reversing the stalking. You get more stalking from further away. That's how the killer should work, but they penalized the up close way too much. It should be like 0.7, 0.8 in my opinion. It was 0.4, now it's 0.6, closer to where we need it to be. I think Myers just needed flat buffs. He didn't really need much of a change. I suggested this multiplier reversal a long time ago, but I didn't want the close to be this bad. I want it to be like nearly as good, but a bit less. So we're getting closer to where he needs to be, I think. So that's great. Next, Human Greed. Very, very slight buff here. It now has a much shorter cooldown just to see the aura. And it also... I'm kind of confused here. So the patch notes here, I'm not really sure what they mean because it's an 8 meter range, but then they say it was 3 seconds. I think... usually they should put this right here. So... it just lasts like 2 more seconds with the aura reveal. I mean, it's a very slight buff. It's whatever. A perk is just not really worth using in my opinion. Weave Attunement was kind of like rebuffed again. So this is basically old Weave Attunement, except the survivors can now see the aura of the item where previously they couldn't with the original version. So the version prior to this one was this, but it was 8 meters, and now it's going to be 12 meters again, like the original Weave Attunement. So almost as good as it used to be. Survivors can see the item on the ground now, so it's still not quite as good, but it's still a very good information perk. So next, bug fixes. This is what I'm interested in for the whole Houndmaster situation, because holy hell, she is so bugged. Tome issue, blah, 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 blah. I don't really care about that stuff. Memory shard idling sound to be audible after collecting it, blah, 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 blah. Demogorgon to be able to spam Grumsel interacting with a glyph. Why? Why would you nerf this? This is one of the best things. You could... interact with the glyph as Demogorgon and go. That was like one of the best parts about the game. What the fuck? Behavior hate's fun. Fix an issue that causes Skull Merchant's radar to persist while inspecting the radar multiple times. Okay. An issue that caused Spirit and Yunjin to play the wrong menu theme for their cozy break outfits. Oh, finally. That was the most pressing concern in the game. Fix an issue that caused the Dark Lord's Hellfire sound to keep playing after getting stunned during charging. That was pretty annoying when it happened. Vecna's Fly now works a bit better. This was a notable bug I encountered before. Survivors removing your madness thing would sometimes glitch out, and you'd have to like reset it. So it seems they fixed that. That's good. A couple other random things. Plague no longer have a cooldown when canceling Vile Purge. I encountered that like once. Whatever. Here's what I'm interested in right here. Houndmaster is so much worse than she could be because of the amount of bugs that she has. Let's see if they actually tackled most of them. Fix an issue to cause dog to grab survivors that are being killed by the entity during endgame collapse. Okay. Fix an issue that caused the dog's chase command to always vault if it is next to a vault location and redirect. That is good. So what this means is if you would go to redirect the dog and the dog was in close proximity to a vault, even if you weren't trying to aim at the vault could be behind you, not even on the camera, but it just latches onto the vault no matter what. So when you would redirect, even if you couldn't see the vault, the dog would just go backwards. So it would always vacuum onto it no matter what the scenario was, and it seems like that's going to be better now. That's good. That was very frustrating. Fix an issue that caused the trail boost to have no effect when starting a chase on the search path. So this, I'm not really sure if this is like an actual massive buff or not. Because I was under the implication it was supposed to turn off when you were in a chase. Because you were not supposed to use it as a movement speed ability. It's to get to somewhere on the map. But this is implying that this was a bug, which is interesting and actually a pretty big buff to the killer if that's the case. Because this means she can actually use her haste in a chase to try to down people. And she has, 150% haste. You could actually get creative with this now and maybe use the dog search mode in a chase to hit people with haste, which would be weird, but they're wording this like this was a bug, and I'm really confused about this one. So we're gonna have to see in game exactly how this ends up being. But I was under the impression that was intentional design there, but apparently it was a bug. So you might actually be able to use search mode in a chase for the haste now, which opens up definitely a couple of new possibilities. So definitely keep an eye on that one. Fix an issue that caused the dog to get stuck on walls and fail to dash, and the killer quickly sends a dash command on the other side of the wall. I encounter this bug at least 5 times a game, so thank God. We'll see if it's actually fixed or not. Fix a multiple pathfinding issue with the dog in various maps. I mean, always good to hear. Dog no longer teleports at the start of a dash. This would only happen occasionally when the dog was like stuck somewhere. The dog would just spawn next to you and go in a complete direction that you didn't choose. That one was a bit more rare. The dog patrol path can appear above ground level when the patrol is sent to a different elevation. Just more quality. You'll have to see the more accurate path now when there's elevation differences. Fix an issue to cause a Houndmaster Hound Sense killer effect to be removed when an injured survivor was grabbed. I'm not really sure why that matters at all. Fix an issue to cause the Hound Sense killer effect to reset if a survivor is hit while having the endurance effect. Very minor, whatever. Fix an issue that caused the powers to not visually appear on cooldown when spectating. Okay, whatever. Fix an issue that caused spectators to not see the reverse red arrow marker when the Houndmaster points that object with patrol ability. Okay, whatever. And some slight blood point scoring event issues, which, as an aside, I think she needs to earn way more blood points. I think she gets like 300 points for hitting a dog melee hit. Like, hitting with the dog and then bringing someone to you and then hitting is 300 blood points. Wraith uncloaks and hits someone for like double that. It doesn't make any sense. So, but yeah, overall, these are great. She definitely needs a shit ton of bug fixes, and this one is very, very interesting. So we'll see exactly what that means. Next, fix issues with camera fade exclusion, the more you update feature. There's a couple of issues that, whatever, some placeholder textures, collision issues, blah, 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 blah. Nothing too important or interesting there. Couple of weird bugs around jagged compass that I noticed seems to be fixed. Other than that, nothing too important to talk about. Nothing, no pressing issues. A lot of things that should have been fixed or have not fixed. Flashbangs apparently still bugged. Spirit's Husk audio is still bugged. They didn't mention that even under the audio section, which is just such a fuck you to Spirit at this point. I think they have to know she's still bugged. It's been like 7 months now. It's getting ridiculous. But overall, I do think these changes are mostly good. If these are accurate and a lot of these bugs are actually fixed, I do think Houndmaster is going to become a lot stronger here. She was severely limited by how buggy she was. So that's going to be good. But it still doesn't change the fact that even with all these changes, she's still not a very good killer. The dog dragging is still too RNG based, where sometimes survivors maintain control far longer than you do, causing the power to effectively not do anything. There are just too many little issues just with her power that prevent her from being good, even if she works perfectly. So not only does she need bug fixes, but she needs to be a bit stronger as well, in my opinion. So I'm going to keep playing her and keep trying to master her. Hopefully these bug fixes will be a lot better. I'm not sure if this is live right now. Hopefully it is. But yeah, I'm definitely going to test her a bunch today, and we'll go from there. But that's about it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.